Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of this week's newsletter with myself, Laurence. I'm here with Scratch team member Louis, and just talking about intent of shot. What shot are we trying to play? A lot of the time we can stand up there, certainly with driver being the biggest club in the bag, and almost just stepping up there and just hitting it, rather than actually being quite specific and saying, is there going to be a shape to the shot? Where do we want the ball to start? Where do we envisage the ball to end? I think we can get very much into a routine of just standing on the same tee box, hitting the same shot, aiming in the same place. And sometimes it just needs a bit of change up. So we're talking about intent of fade versus draw. So left-hand image is the generalised sort of stock fade, or starting down the left-hand side and just seeing the ball curve a little bit. And then the right hand side, we was discussing how to get a little bit more draw, how we were seeing that ball move a little bit more right to left, which is a shot before for Louis found a little bit more difficult, not as easy to control. But after this lesson, felt like he could definitely take this out there and utilise this straight away. So image on the left-hand side, we can see nice and clearly, bit of fade biased, and what I mean by fade biased, shoulders a little bit more down the left-hand side relative to our target line here. Generally your shoulders will dictate your swing plane. Club goes away, nice and straight. Beautiful turn to the top of the backswing. Back foot kicks nice and early, so the hips are really starting to open. Club starting to come a little bit more out in front. So it almost feels like it's a bit of a swipe, okay, and a swipe in a good way. Just feels like everything's sort of glancing across the ball. Really open here, really open in chest. Shoulders now starting to open itself up, and more importantly, looking towards that target. So lots of open feet, and just see that ball just start left of the line. Obviously, you won't see the end of the ball flight, but that ball started to curve a little bit down the right-hand side. So what we discussed over here on the right-hand side was, well, to hit a draw, body shape has got to be, we've got to get the ball starting a little bit further right. And this doesn't mean right of a fairway, down the tree line. It just means simply we want to get this ball starting further right than before. So for me, what I tend to do with most of my clients is get them to understand that generally sort of pulling trail foot back, which for Louis is his right foot, will generally withdraw the right shoulder and the right hip. So it just gives us a bit of a presence that the club now will want to work, which you'll see here, just a little bit more inwards. And by being a little bit more inwards, as we get to the top of the backswing, very similar positions compared to his image here on the left-hand side as well. But this is the key move for me. You'll see here, we've got a little bit more opening the legs, so we know the hips have turned a little bit more. So with the hips turning more, the club is just a little bit more behind us. But as he transitions here, you'll still see the same movement from that right foot kicking out, but the shaft angle at this point versus here and here is quite different. Here we've got a slightly flatter one working around the body. Here, what would be considered slightly steeper, but I'm just going to use the word more vertical. And the image on the right is going to just be a bit more rounded. And what we saw from this shot, ball started a lot more in line. And as the video then starts to entail, Louis starts to walk towards the screen, and we see that ball nicely curving from right to left down a right to left golf hole. Like most golf holes are, there are golf holes that they're not always straight. They will either shape a bit more left to right and right to left, and we should know that very well around Verulam because we get a few of those. So hopefully you found this video useful in terms of how to deliver certain shot shapes. Again, this works for some, might not work for others, and that's why there's always different ways of getting to that end product. But please pick up with myself, Laurence, if you'd like to explore these versions anymore. Cheers.